and welcome to another episode of the Complete Agent Podcast, where each week we get together to talk all things estate agency. My name is Dave Warburton, and I'm joined only today by my industry colleague, all-round legend, friend, business partner. What else? I don't know. James Kendall. How are you, mate?
Hi, mate.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was James. Is that you, Ian? No, Ian can't make it today, unfortunately. No. I don't actually know what he's doing. He just had some horrendous excuse on a voice note, and he's left us to it. So it's probably going to be...
I started listening to it, and I got it's a really boring story. And I thought, you know what? Whatever. You're dead to me.
He tends to. I tend to turn them off after about 11 seconds because he just can't get his...
he gets stuck.
So he gets stuck.
I'm just stuck in a barn.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I'll come back to that. I have to put him up to 2 times speed, and it still takes 40 minutes to get it out.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, JK, how's your week been, mate?
Right. Actually, our month has been a little bit challenging so far. We had an incredible February, and the tap's kind of been turned off a little bit for sales, not for instructions. We've got £8.5 million sat in photography at the moment, and it's again, it's that struggle of trying to get everything in and get it photographed and get it on the market and edited and offer people dates for photography, etc. is becoming a bit of a challenge. But our superstar photographer, videographer, is going to do some overtime in the evenings and edit and get it out so we can get some more dates in. Obviously, we've got the Easter weekend coming up soon, Good Friday, Easter Monday, which kind of throws a little bit of a spanner in the works as well. But yeah, a little bit light on sales. However, David, I will just say that we've got 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 negotiations happening at the moment that could land us on 7 sales, but we'd still do well in excess of 6 figures because of the size of the deals. So whilst it's not 20 sales like it was in February, it's still very, very good, and things are moving forward. We've had some exchanges go through, got some more stuff about to go soon as well, which has been nice. We really felt that October, November, December lull that we've had in the pipeline. But the stuff that was agreed in December and some of the longer stuff that was agreed in those months as well is slowly starting to come through now. And when you get those sort of 2% fees that land in, it makes such a difference. I can remember, I don't know, we talked about it on the pod before, 8 years ago, I think it was. I think we'd sold like one house in December for like the best part of, I think it was $4,500 fee. We had a couple of sales going through. Average fee was like $2,500-3,000, and you're waiting for them to drop in. You're looking at your conversion rates. We're lucky that now I don't have the stats from 2016, but when we were 2016, 2018, 2018, isn't it? Yeah, God, 2018. Don't have the stats from 2018, but I don't think we would have exchanged on 80% of what we listed because we listed so many. But we were selling a lot. In the previous year, we'd sold over 200 odd. But anyway, I digress. What's nice is that, you do sell less, but obviously you do get more, and the quality of the clients and the conversions are a lot higher. So it's a good place to be. So just outside of sales and listings, good week for Bricksmith as well. Got approached by somebody else on LinkedIn this week that has a farmhouse on 4 acres that they're emigrating and considering letting. So they have approached us and said, look, ideally we'd want to get between $4,000 and $6,000 a month. Do you think that's attainable? We'd like to do a short-term let. In an ideal world, we don't want to let it out long term. So I kind of put it out into the universe and had an inquiry from somebody that deals with sort of close protection of sort of high net worths, and they think they might have somebody possibly that may be interested in renting it while their house project is completed in the next sort of 3 months. So that's all kind of happening, I guess, behind the scenes. The financial services company, they asked for some more info from our portal provider, whatever you can call them, from me. So hopefully get FCA approval on that soon. Branding, again, is in its first phase of approval as well. So we've moved forward with one design. The JK branding website, etc., continues to sort of rumble on, but we're hoping that in the next 4 to 6 weeks, we'll be in a position where we've got something to show people and start going live. But yeah, no, it's, to be honest, mate, to quote one of my very, very good friends, I've been busy as fuck.
No, really?
Yeah.
Is that FOK?
FOK, mate. FOK. Wow. No Diet Cokes were harmed in this episode. What's your week been like, mate?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. A bit like you in the sense of, I think we're quieter on vowels, but to be quite honest with you, JK, it's not a bad place to be. Just with the structure of my business, I'm not all about volume. I don't want to be about volume. I mean, obviously, you always want more, don't you? But when I am FOK, busy as, it's tougher to live your life the way you want to live your life. And I have to say, I've managed to touch wood here, find a really nice balance at the moment. And it's also come from being a little bit more selective as well. I know we've banged on about that for a long, long time, but as you know, we've got 2 brands. So one brand will pretty much sell anything, which is the We Locate brand. Burton James is very selective about what we take on. And I've been a bit more choosier, if I'm honest. We've been taking some really nice stock, saleable stock as well. Yeah. I'm being a bit pickier about who I work with. Yeah. As time goes on and you get a bit older and wiser, I think I'm very much in a phase where I don't want to work with everybody. And I'm sticking to my guns on fee, and I'm also trying to be as sharp as I can be on price and not really take stuff on that I don't think is well aligned with the market. So, valuations are a bit lighter, but not light in the sense of, oh no, what's happening here? I've got, just to put it into context, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 houses ready to launch.
I thought you were going to say 7 vowels to do today.
No,
a little bit lighter, but it's only 7 vowels today.
Yeah, but all really good stock that's very, very saleable. So 1.4 million, 700,000, 800,000, 800,000. Got a beauty at 475. We always talk about all the brilliant homes, don't we? The £1 million plus, £2 million homes, and they are very exciting to do. But I think Ian bangs on about it quite a bit. He loves like a red row, a detached red row executive that looks really good and smart, and he can do a really good job on the marketing with, and gets 2% and it flies off in a week. And this particular one is a perfect example of that. It's going to be offers over 475, which is just slightly under market value, but on the price point, because the vendors are dream to work with. They're buying one of my other ones at 700,000, and they are very realistic on their house price. And from the pre-launch, so again, we bang on about pre-launch strategies. From the pre-launch, we've already booked 10 viewings on this particular property.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's probably going to sell in excess of 5. Yeah. Which will be a great result for the development. It'll be a great result for the owners, because again, it's all about moving people on, isn't it? Yeah. It's a great 2% fee. And I think, honestly, JK, that'll be done and dusted in a couple of weeks. I love those. Give me a load of them. Stick them into your pipeline. So yeah, lots and lots of stuff to come on at great fees. And I have to say, I'm touching wood as I do it, but it's
the PG podcast.
I just realised what I said as I said it. So yeah, but I'm touching the desk, which is made of wood, as I say it. I'm actually lying at a breakfast bar. I'm at a breakfast bar, and it's actually a quartz work surface. So I'm just going to touch my head. Let's move on from the wood and touching.
Touching heads, yeah.
But all saleable stock. Do you know what I mean? So good stuff. Sales this week also great. 750,000, 720,000, 1.9 million, 775,000, 475,000, and a 545,000. So all this week. Oh, and the 750,000. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sales going into the pipe this week.
Nice.
Nice chunky fees. So all good, mate. And I can't explain it right. So, I can, and I'll try. But you alluded to it before about volume and stuff. But Ian also did a little video in our group, in a WhatsApp members group yesterday, and it was quite a motivational one, I would hope, for a lot of the members listening and watching that. Because he was at a wonderful house that was around 1.5 to 2 million pounds, I think. And what he was saying was, he doesn't take it for granted, but he stood in that garden and he was showing us the views, and then he showed us the size of the house, and said, 6 years ago he couldn't have ever dreamed of selling one of these houses. Now he's going to they booked 25 valuations in the first week of the month.
Yeah,
that's all he goes to now. So there is a way, and we've obviously walked the path. And I think that some people, and you've talked about it, I remember you talked about it a few weeks ago, a lad from a council estate, you couldn't imagine mixing with people who've got £1 million plus houses and selling them for them. And now it's just a normal, everyday thing. And I've been feeling that a lot recently. If I go back 3, 4, 5 years, on the number of valuations that we've booked this month, I'd probably be a little bit worried. The sales and everything have been really good this year so far, and we've exchanged on quite a bit, so we're in a nice, healthy shape. But units are not. They won't. If some people listen to the units, they won't be pulling up trees. They won't be going, "Bloody hell, that's not a lot." It's plenty in terms of pound notes, and what it has afforded is a much better lifestyle. So I'm very happy with where the business is at. We're obviously growing. We're still in recruitment phase, but it's been a good couple of years, and this week has been like one of those weeks where I look back and I go, do you know what, we're in a really nice place here, and the brand is getting better. We're getting some good recognition. My phone, by the way, JK, this is another interesting one. Obviously, my phone is linked to Facebook, Instagram, all that sort of stuff. I am constantly getting messages, and obviously inquiring about houses, but I'm also getting messages out of area now. I went to a house yesterday, which is absolutely stunning. 2 barn conversions this guy owns, and he's got a load of land, loads of amazing views. It's not an area that I necessarily cover, but he's following us on social media, likes what we do. So he's not getting the letters. I'm not writing to him. He just sees us on social media. We've added about, I think, probably 2,200 followers to our account in the last 2 months. It's just been crazy. So that's really picking up as well. And that's just come from consistency with our video output, with our reels and pre-launch activity and advice. So I just feel like we're in a really good position. And yeah, growing nicely, JK. So long way of saying, it's not been a bad week.
Yeah, thanks for that, mate. Now, for everyone else that is still with us and not falling asleep, it's been an interesting time. And just on now, just recap off what you've just said in terms of fees and units, right? So, talking of volume agency, now if you really broke it down, like one of the fees that we're tying up this month is going to be best part of 47 grand. Plus that. And if you look back to what we would have had to do, so that's 45 grand. That would have been, if our average fee was, let's say, 3 grand, like 8 years ago, back in the day, that's 15 completed sales. And if you look at the UK average right now, that is, agents are completing on 50%, almost 50% of what they list. You'd have to list 30 houses to get 15 sales to get the same amount. But how many valuation conversion, the average conversion, I guess, is about 40% in the country. So
but it's not that high.
But even, let's say it is hypothetically, let's say it's 50%. Let's really be optimistic for people, right? Let's say you're converting 50% of those, right? So you'd have to go to 60 vals to win 30 properties to actually sell 15 and complete on 15. How much work is that for the same amount of money? And how many plates have you got to spin to do that when you can focus on, I mean, don't get me wrong, we're not all just about just big ticket prizes in terms of, selling 1, 2, 3 million pound houses, because, the stuff between sort of, 4 and a million, I like to call it the gold dust. Those sort of fees, that one completing today actually at like 750, that's 15 grand, that's great, And the thing is, but you've got to be, I know we've kind of said it before, charge what you're worth and worth what you charge. Be worth what you charge. And the marketing mix that we kind of put in there, it's kind of a no-brainer, really. I again signed one up this week. Again, I'm over double the fee of the previous agent, plus we're getting an upfront fee, and we've reduced the price by 250k. And the conversation I had in the sitting room when I was talking to this lady and her son, they were like, they did the usual, that's quite a lot more. That's double, and it's 250k less than we had before. I'm not sure I could do. So, well, look, you haven't lost £250,000 because you never had it. This is the data. And the data is always the data. The data is the data. Opinions are opinions. And the fact that you had no viewings in 6 months would suggest you've got a pricing issue, not just a marketing issue. And the reality is that, look, I said, the thing is, I went through absolutely everything: data, marketing, X, Y, and Z. Told them what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. And in the end, there was just, to be honest, choosing me is a no-brainer. There's no, yes, all right, they could jump to another 1% or less agent, but the reality is they're not going to sell their house. We've got 80% conversion. Do you want to be part of that 80%, or do you want to be part of the 50% that don't move? You've waited 6 months with this other agent, and it is what it is. But we move forward and away we go. So. Just on the whole market, obviously I was speaking to one of our members actually yesterday on the phone. She dropped me a voice note, and she was a little bit concerned about like sales and bits and pieces at the moment and what was actually happening. And I said, to be honest, it's probably a pricing issue more than anything else, because the market is just so price sensitive. Anyway, so we had a good chat about everything, and the reality is, she's going to go back and need to get some price realignments, because, for example, one of the houses that she was selling, she took off another agent, reduced by 50k, and I think they were at 750. Literally, they had 4 viewing requests in the first week, had an offer of 730. Seller said no. Nobody else wanted to buy it. That 730 then disappeared. And then they're now stuck at 750 and nobody wants it. And it was just reframing. Sorry?
How long's it been on that one?
I don't know. It was just a conversation we were having yesterday. It's not mine. It's not one of mine. It's one of our members. And I want to say it's been on maybe 4 to 6 weeks, maybe, at a guesstimate. But the advice I gave was, look, the market's telling you it's probably more like 730 than it is 750. Because you've had an offer from somebody with £1 notes in their pocket. Have the conversation with the client. What does it look? Why are you moving? And I think they're moving because they want to move in with their partner. This is, I think, maybe the ex-marital home. It's all been done and dusted. They want to get moving. And reframing the question to them: what would it look like if you weren't moved in with your partner, celebrating Christmas in the house for the new year? What would that look like? And then go and say, look, we've had 730. Obviously, if they even said that, I think that their client had said if 730 was available now, they'd have taken it. But it's about having that question. If it's 730, is it 720? Is it 710? Well, what we need to do is offers over 7, and drive the price up. And I think that is what is going to get that sold. And I mean, that that member is a really good agent and that they are super positive. They will be swimming in inquiries. I think as soon as they've got them realignments done next week when they catch up with their clients again, I think they'll be swimming in inquiries, because it is really price sensitive. I had this conversation with somebody yesterday. I went to it and right, check this out, classic. So I went to this house, and it doesn't really matter. It's not relevant because you're in different parts of the country, but I thought it was around 8, offers over 8, and the data suggested similar. There was a house exactly the same, 2 doors up. How much do you think it's on the market for?
So you think this one's 8?
Yeah.
And the other one's up 2 doors up?
Yeah.
And it's just gone on. It's just gone
on for 6 months.
Oh. I'm guessing it's probably in excess of $1 million by its own. Probably
950.
950. Wow.
950. And
20% over.
The thing is, my clients are switched on, so they appreciate the data, because that's the thing. I've said to them, look, ultimately, the market's the market, right? And they've had 3 other agents around, and to be honest, all of those other agents have been influenced by that other house.
Yeah.
Which you can understand, right? Because automatically in your mind as the agent, when you go through the door and you've done your research, you're thinking, well, I was anyway. I'd done the data and I was like, geez, this is more like 8, 10. What have I missed? Is there an oil well in the garden that I should be made aware of?
Do you know what? It's such a good point, because sometimes you do doubt yourself, don't you?
Mm.
And that's what leads to taking on instructions that probably never will sell. There's always that doubt, like, oh, have I missed something here? Have I missed something? Is something not right? Will somebody actually pay it? But yeah.
Anyway, it's been on for 6 months and it's gone. That's gone nowhere. And I said, look, I've got to be honest. And I said, look, I realise that I'm putting my neck on the line here, and I really don't want you to throw me out onto the street. But the data suggests it's more like 8, 10 for this house, and maybe arguably their house as well. And they said, to be honest, that's kind of what we thought. And I was like,
yeah.
Big sigh. But out of the 3 that had been round, I was the only one that had the balls to commit to what I thought. Whereas the other 2 were like, maybe try offers over 9. And I thought, just not going to go anywhere.
Do you know what? Right, I've got a story about one quickly. There's a house that was on the market with another agent probably 2 to 2.5 years ago. Very well known agent in the town in which I live, and it was on for 1.15 million, something like that. And this road is. It's very well known as one of the most prestigious, if you like, in the area. And it's set back. It's one of 4 in this little community. It's gated.
Did the builder build it for himself?
It's about 3,000 square feet. It's got a smallish garden for the size of, certainly for the house price, and slightly overlooked at the back. So some of the saleable assets might be up for debate. So it's up for 1.15. It then reduces. Obviously, I'm keeping an eye on the market. It reduces like a million, $1,000,001. Then it was $1,050,000. Then it's $1 million, and then I get the call to go in. So I've gone in and I've had a chat with them, and we're going back probably well over a year now. And the conversation that I had with them was like, I'll be honest with you, all of the data that I'm looking at here, price per square foot, suggests that the house is around 800 to 850. And it was one of those where I couldn't finish my sentence before the lady had sort of like, what? No, whatever. I said, whoa, hang on. I'm not finished yet. I'm not trying to insult you. I'm just telling you what the data is and where it's at. And obviously, it's an average price per square foot. You've got a really nice premium finish here. You're behind gates. You've got a lot of subjective elements. But all I'm telling you is that it's quite considerably off 1 million. And the house, to be honest, I was being polite. It was very plush, but it was such an acquired taste. And basically, I was basically saying to them, I just don't think you should be anywhere over maybe 900. It didn't work for them. And anyway, I got it's still on the market today, over 2 years on, and it's now at 850,000. And I got a text message from the owner, the gentleman, last week, and it was a WhatsApp, and he just basically said, "Hi David, hope you're well. Just wanted to get a steer on your thoughts on the market and where you think things are at the moment. I noticed you've sold a couple of houses in the area. I'm getting offers on my house at 780,000. Do you think I should give them consideration?" So he's asking me and not his agent. And I was basically just going back to him to say, look, I think obviously we had conversations around the 800 to 850 level 2 years ago. And I think that you should probably I think you should be considering offers in that range still. But the asking price that you've got is not going to generate that kind of level of interest at that price. So you probably need to consider a drop. And so basically, I just gave him advice without actually saying, can I market your property for you? But it was staggering that it had been on for such an amount that was never in a million years going to be achievable. And it's happening all over the place. I mean, there's so many that I've been to over the last 12, 18 months, 2 years that are so far off. The worst one I had was we sold it at 850,000 that it had previously been on the market with a very, very well-known premium agent at 1.5 million. It sold for 850. You know, just crazy. People get carried away with land and views and things like that without paying much attention to what actually things are selling for data-wise. And to be honest, JK, you know, when you get to this end of the market, there is a very, very high level of subjectivity, as we know. And it's difficult to place a value on unique homes when there's no comparables for them. But, you know,
that's where the data comes in, though, Dave. I think that's one thing that has been invaluable, and certainly for a lot of the members that we have in TCA. You think it's strange, like one of the benefits of being in TCA is learning how to value houses with data. And that's been absolutely life-changing for, I can at least think of 3 people off the top of my head. I mean, to be honest, I include myself in that as well, because I used to go in the old school way of doing things, of looking at pound per square foot on a best price guide, but actually compiling it all together and having that presentation talking about cost for acquisition, stamp duty, interest rates, like having that full package to put together, you can absolutely blow the competition out of the water in something that takes you 25 minutes to put together. It's just, to quote Ian's story, incredible. Just want to talk about the market very quickly as well. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about Iran at the moment and the conflict in the Middle East. And obviously, that is having an effect on the market. And it's something, obviously, that's going to feature within our market update for Q1. But just to talk about it a bit quickly, I don't know if anyone's been keeping an eye on the SONIA swaps. And for those of you that don't know what SONIA swaps are, they are the interest rates that the banks, so your Nationwides, your NatWests, they're the rates that those banks borrow the money at to lend to mortgagees, so people buying houses. And generally, if, say, for example, the swap rate is, 3%, the banks always want to make a minimum of 0.11 on the money that they borrow at. So, if the interest rate or the BOE rate is, let's say, for example, 3%, the swap rate is 3%, then, you're likely to see a 3.11 at the very lowest if the mortgage market's good. But also, there's been a lot of volatility in the market. There's been a lot of noise around the MPC meeting in terms of previously it was thought that the swap rate, I've got swap rates all in my head. The BOE rate, base rate, is going to, it's today, isn't it? I think. Is it today? It's today, I think.
Yeah, it is today.
At midday.
Yeah, it is.
So at midday today, so I mean, this pod will go out likely after the BOE rate has changed, if it does change. But they're under immense pressure for so inflation. Again, really quick lesson for anyone listening to this in terms of sort of economics, but if inflation is high, it's hard for them to drop interest rates, because at the end of the day it's all a balancing act. So if inflation is high, then interest rates come up. If inflation is low, then interest rates go down. And it's a bit like house prices as well. So when interest rates are low, house prices go up, and vice versa. But Anyway, in a nutshell, the swaps have been all over the place because of the conflict in the Middle East, the price of oil, which you've probably seen, and the price at the pump. If you're driving a petrol or diesel car, you've probably noticed in the real world. And a lot of inflation was actually coming down prior to the conflict. So that's why the view was that there was an 80% chance they were going to cut the rate by 0.25%. IMF's view was by the end of this year, and that's the International Monetary Fund, their view by the end of the year was that we were going to see 3.25% base rate at the Bank of England. Now, there's obviously, I think it's going to be optimistic right now. However, looking at so I tracked the daily swap rates, and what has been interesting at the start of March, so the first 2 weeks, when it really started to kick off and ramp up, it really did upset the markets, and that's why the swaps were rising. So you're seeing a lot of mortgage products being pulled by high street banks, rates being pulled, rates going up, etc. But in the last 3 to 4 days, we are seeing a levelling out. And it's also important to note, just to reframe it actually quickly for you, I'm just going to get the stat up on my phone. Where are we? Should have been organised when I did this. But the swap is... So if you take March 2025, on the 7th of March 2025, the 1 year swap rate, for example, last year was 4.13%. Today, as of the 16th of March, that's 3.84%. 3.83%. And it's still, for a 2 year fixed or 2 year swap, it's still 0.1% below what it was last year.
So this is the key, JK. It's how do we put this into context, and how do you frame it with your clients? Because you can bet your bottom dollar that every seller, or many sellers at the moment, will be saying, "Ooh, it's not a great time to sell." Why? Because of the war. And the buyers will be saying, "Oh, it's not a great time to buy." Why? Because of the war. And there's no real context behind it. You know, the reality is, it's not crashing the housing market. It's probably going to slow the pace.
It is,
in some areas. That's all. And as you've pointed out, it possibly will affect interest rates and how the base rate works. We've already seen mortgage rates have a slight uptick. That's not because of the housing market. It's just because of global uncertainty. And you'll have buyers asking, is now the right time? Should I wait and see what happens? You'll have sellers saying the same sort of thing. But actually, you know, you can use it. Obviously, you've got to try and educate your market. And I think it's how you are speaking to your clients about it. So, you know, how are you framing it to your sellers? Well, you've got to be saying to them, there is still demand out there, because there is. There's no question about that. I know there's probably a north-south divide, but certainly where we are, there's still plenty of demand. It's just that buyers are a bit more considered right now. So getting your pricing and your presentation right is even more important than ever has been. Yeah, there's no question about that. And then to buyers, actually, you know, who are saying, oh, is now a good time, you know, uncertainty can actually create a great opportunity for you. Especially when there's more choice and then there's less competition. So if one buyer is thinking, oh, the war's going to affect everything, I'm going to wait until it's over and we'll see what happens, then the next person will be looking at it and going, well, there's opportunity here, because that guy over there is worried about the war. I'm going to go in and buy a property now at the right sort of price, because when all this settles down and interest rates come down again, and things get a little bit better and there's more confidence in the market, well, guess what? There's going to be more competition amongst buyers as well. Yeah. So it comes back to that timing the market thing. You can never time the market, can you?
No.
So you've got to just do what's right for you. But I think framing it to your sellers and your buyers is key.
100%.
You know, I think markets like this will separate agents who are relying maybe on momentum from the ones who actually understand strategy. And when confidence is wobbling a little bit with buyers and sellers, guidance from your agent becomes more valuable than ever. So, you've just spoken about the letters that we're going to be writing, and we're going to cover quite a chunk of this because it is very, very relevant. You don't want to spin a load of negativity on the conflict and all that sort of stuff, but it's absolutely relevant. People know it's happening, and they want to know how it's going to affect them.
They need the context.
Exactly. And having an opinion on it and understanding it, no one knows. That's the absolute facts. No one knows what's going to happen. But you can give context and give reasons as to why interest rates are probably going to go up a little bit right now. And how will that affect the market? How is it going to affect the well-being of people? How are people always going to be thinking?
Yeah.
You've got to get that opinion across. But I think it's just going to create a bit of hesitation in the top ends of the market. Higher end buyers are going to be more exposed to investments, the business performance, market sentiment, all that sort of stuff. And I think they're probably more often than not the first people to pause maybe a little bit. But equally, on the flip side, they will sense opportunity as buyers. So, I mean, again, I can only go off what we're seeing on the front line, so to speak. This week, we're agreeing sales at 720. Agreed one yesterday. A guy who's got a law firm, 1.9 million and 1.95. So 775,000, 475, 575. Widespread there.
Yeah.
Widespread. To me, it's not like people are stopping because of this. It's just that some will become more hesitant. There will be probably be fewer buyers in the market, so it'll reduce lead activity. You might see viewing numbers drop, things like that. But the quality is still there. People are still buying.
Yeah.
And the message to sellers probably needs to be, look, it's been price sensitive before all this. We're still on the back end of COVID, believe it or not. House prices went up so much during COVID that naturally we've now started to see a bit of a pushback in most areas, certainly where I am. And, average house price is very similar to what they were in COVID. Cost of acquisition higher. So people getting used to that. And I think it started to filter through. And then all of a sudden, you've got the conflicts, and that's causing a bit of uncertainty as well. So it's just how you frame it. I think there's a lot of positivity as well as uncertainty. But there's a great opportunity now for really good, competent agents to educate the market. So make sure you're doing it. Educate your own clients, educate your valuations, and use social media to your advantage.
Yeah, perfect. Well, that seems like a good place to leave it this week. We have got a special guest coming on next week. It's not Ian's story, it's somebody else. Although hopefully Ian will be with us next week. Thanks everyone for listening. Don't forget to follow the Facebook group, The Complete Agent. The link is in the show notes. And as always, thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.
Cheers, guys.